Hi, welcome to another episode of Rachel Uncensored, a place on the internet, well, it's the only place on the internet where you see an uncensored version of me. I'm here with my best friend, Joyous. Also, just her name's Joy. Joy, say hello.
Hello, hello.
All right. You don't know anything about this podcast yet because it's brand new.
Right.
How we start it is we drink whatever drink reminds me of the person.
Oh, that's why Tito's is in the room.
That's why Tito's and cranberry juice is in the room. Ooh. Along with everyone in my house has their own shot glass. This is Joy's. It says, I pug and love you. Because she has a pug.
Because I'm a pug and
best. Then mine is some chickens from Kauai. So I also know that alcohol, a drink or two, will loosen someone up.
Yes.
So you have to talk into your microphone.
Little nervous. So.
You are a little nervous?
Yes.
Oh, no. We'll get you getting
But
drunk.
I'm excited.
Okay. So basically, we just talk about whatever we want. I have a few thoughts that we could talk about.
I'm more nervous to hear the sound of my voice on a podcast.
Are you going to listen? Joy watches everything I post.
I don't miss it.
I think she is my number one fan.
I absolutely am. I might be the latest fan.
Or the newest. She's late to the game, and she might be the oldest fan.
But I caught up. I watched a lot of your old stuff now.
Yeah, you really. She will put something on of mine and start giggling before it starts. I'm like, you're not. I haven't even spoken yet. She's like, I just know it's gonna be good.
I can tell by the expressions, the certain expressions on your face, or the movement, or if you're touching your face or not. I'm like, oh, this is about to be good.
Hold on, let's take our shots. Because I think it'll help. Also,
yes.
I got a cranberry blend.
I'm excited. I tried cranberry grape juice, and that was one of the best juices I've ever drank.
To me, seeing you nervous for the first time ever.
Cheers.
Cheers. Go for it.
This is how I take a shot, guys.
She takes the juice first, then the shot, and then more juice. Which I started doing, and it actually helps.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This reminds me of my grandmother.
I've never been a professional shot taker. I will never try to be a professional shot taker.
Are there professional shot takers?
I've seen some. I know a lot of people that can just.
Is that a professional or are they just good at it?
I say a professional if you're not flinching or anything. If you're taking that thing like water.
I can take a shot without flinching.
Oh, gosh.
You've seen me take a shot without flinching.
I could for like 2 years between the ages of like 22, 23.
When you didn't have a soul.
Exactly. No, when life was so rough that like the pain of a shot was like, you just ate it, you know?
Yeah, you wanted it.
You're like,
it made you feel alive.
Yeah.
I never took shots until I started hanging out with you and girlfriend.
Really?
I was into beer for a long time because I was dating a poop head that was into beer. Mm-hmm. And in college, everyone was rum and Coke.
Ugh.
It was Captain Morgan, rum and Coke. It was disgusting.
Captain Morgan for me is the worst. I have never and will never like it.
I can't drink rum ever again.
I've had multiple, like I'm the kind of person that likes to go up to a bar, or used to go up to like a bartender, and they'd ask me, what do you want to drink? And because I didn't know alcohol, I'd be like, these are the flavors I like, make me something, like surprise me, right? So once I first tried Captain Morgan, I'd always say that, and then I'd go, but nothing with Captain Morgan. And for some reason, almost every single bartender thought it was like a challenge, and they're like, oh no, I can make you a Captain Morgan drink and you won't even taste it. And every time I'm like, nah. And then I taste it. First sip, I'm like, no, hate it. Give me a different drink. Like
do they give you another, if you don't like a drink that they made, they'll give you another one for free?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they could deny it, but when I don't like something and I deny it, I also always try to be as nice as possible, so they want to make you something different.
You were a barista, a saleswoman, and now you're a dog trainer.
Yes.
You know how to deal with people.
Yes, that's very true. And
so
I also worked at Chick-fil-A, which was the hardest job of my life mentally.
Stop it.
Starbucks
Chick-fil-A?
was number 2.
I didn't know you worked at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I worked at Chick-fil-A when I lived in Texas.
Homophobic of you. Double homophobic of you.
It was one of my first jobs when I moved to not Vegas, Texas. And it was awful. And I ended up quitting on when they made that like traditional family day or whatever. I told them that I was not going to be coming into work.
They have a traditional family day?
Meaning like man and woman. Like they
yes,
literally,
I know
like
what,
yeah, they literally had
I know
like
what that means.
They literally had a celebration for it, like, and it was disgusting, honestly. And I remember saying that I didn't want to work that day, and there was some sort of issue with it. And then, and then I ended up quitting like shortly after that. So
Holy crap. I did not know they had a traditional family day. Does it still exist?
I don't know, actually, but I know it did exist. And I was all here for the gay couples that came in and kissed on that day. It was great.
Oh, genius.
Yes.
That's something girlfriend would want to do.
Yes, because what are you going to do? You can't kick them out or anything like that, right? So I really thought the turnout was going to be a lot of people that are against that.
Yeah.
And that's not what I didn't want to see that. I was going to be so disappointed, right? But the other side of it, like that surprised me. I was like, all right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I weirdly felt that shot immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we've been drinking a little White Claw beforehand. Yeah. That does it too.
It was midday,
All right. So since you haven't been on this podcast before, we have to talk about how we know each other. Also, we're allowed to take another shot if you want to.
I'm down.
You want to right now?
Let's first talk about how we met each other and then we'll take a shot. Let's pace ourselves.
Whoa, are you double timing it? Okay, I'll keep up.
The podcast later is going to be like, anyway. We have to delete the whole podcast and try again tomorrow.
Okay, we would still podcast and it would be just as chaotic as if we were 100% sober.
No, that's true. That's why people think we're drunk all the time.
People think we're drunk all the time. We're only drunk like 40% of the time.
Probably, yeah.
But no.
If it's evening time, there's a good chance we've had like a White Claw or shot or something. But during the day, like
we're sober during the day.
Sober.
Not as you should be. To each their own. But like we got things to do.
Yeah. And not only that, alcohol makes me sleepy.
It makes me so sleepy.
Yeah.
You got a good hour out of me and then I'm done.
That's why when I go out, I don't really drink like that. Because I'll go home. I'll leave you. I'll be like, my Uber's here. I have to go home and go to sleep.
The amount of times Joy has just fallen asleep on that couch in the middle of everyone else being awake and partying is amazing. We'll be like hardcore, like we've taken shots, we're having a party, and then all of a sudden we'll look over and she goes, "Night, guys!"
And there's no stopping me.
Louie comes and she just puts him right there and falls asleep. She will not wake up. The only time I've ever seen her wake up from this was, I'm telling this fucking story. Was it Emily's birthday party night? No. Emily was here drinking.
She was here, but I can't remember what we were doing it for.
I think we were just hanging out.
I think it was just a girls' night.
I think she hadn't met girlfriend yet, and she wanted to meet girlfriends.
That's what it was.
So Emily and girlfriend got wasted. You and I got drunk.
Yeah.
And then you and I have like pretty much the same metabolism with alcohol, where we can get really drunk and then we sober up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like our metabolism just on our livers are just
if
like, we
keep
got
going,
this.
Yeah.
So you at one point were just like, when I was like, oh man, I'm done. I look over and you're already on the couch tucking yourself in.
I think I'd taken a couple more shots too, like after that, after I'd sobered up, and then it all kind of hit me at once.
Yeah. And so I was like, Joy's gone. And then eventually we all went to bed. And then I wake up, I'm cuddling girlfriend in bed. We're sound asleep. We've been asleep for about an hour. And all of a sudden I hear the door open into my bedroom. And I was like, hello? I know Emily's asleep in here and you're asleep on the couch. And I was like, hello? I didn't know who it was. It was Emily's first time sleeping over.
I have no recollection of this. Like not even an ounce.
And I was like, hello? And there was no answer. I was like, hello? Who's there? And then I just hear footsteps going all the way to my bed. I look up. Joy is standing there sneaking like the fucking Grinch. Like the Grinch would sneak into stealing your Christmas presents.
I can't even believe this story. Honestly, I feel like I can say.
You can say girlfriend. I'll edit it out if you actually say your name.
I feel like you and girlfriend we're plotting this. We're like, in the morning, let's just make it this.
No, because there's Furbo footage of me coming out the next morning being like, or like coming out that night being like, there are blankets right here. So on my bed there we have the sheet, and then we have this really big thin white comfy blanket that's like pretty thin though, and then on top of that is a really tiny fluffy blanket. Mm-hmm. And because we cuddle, so we can't have it like super hot in there, so like the blankets are kind of tiny and thin or whatever. And you come in and you're at the edge of the bed. I was like, Joy, do you need something? And you sit on the bed and just kind of are silent for a second. And I'm like, Joy, are you okay?
So weird. Were my eyes open?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You grab the small top blanket, throw it around you, and bolt out the room. And I was like, what? Are you cold? Girlfriend is still asleep.
When Emily, meanwhile, is in here with the full-on comforter, okay?
Because I made the bed. This futon turns into a full, really nice queen bed. And I had made it. There were sheets and pillows and blankets. So I come out as a good host. I stumble out. I was like, are you cold? And you were just in here with Emily on the bed. And I was like, so I went and grabbed you more blankets off the couch. Because I was like, I guess they're cold. So I brought in more blankets, and I was like, good night. Neither of you said anything to me. I go back to bed. I'm 100% sober at this point. And then the next morning I wake up and I told you what happened, and you said you woke up in the morning.
Yeah, I remember I was asleep. I remember waking up and looking around and think, well, first of all, when I got in bed, I do remember being in bed at one point, like waking up sometime in the morning and having the blankets on me, and I Emily had, I think, put one of the down comforters or something, the big one, on me, and I pushed that over to her like, nah, you have that, and I was like, I have mine. I remember that. And then and I remember looking around and looking at that white blanket, and I was like, oh, I have my favorite blanket. And then I woke up in the morning again and looked around and I was like, oh, Rachel tucked me in. I was like, how does she know this was my favorite blanket? I've never taken it in front of her. I always wait till she's out of town and then I steal it.
Bitch, you stole my blanket.
That's why I'm terrified to get so drunk that I get blacked out, because I'm not me. We have to name whoever she is, because it's not me.
She's a thief in the night.
She's a thief in the night for blankets.
She's a thief in the literal fucking night.
It's not just you. My boyfriend one time too. I was drunk. I went out with my girlfriends, got dropped off, came in, and
I tell the story. I love this story.
Yeah, and then my boyfriend ends up telling me in the morning. He was like, "Do you remember anything about last night?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "You got so mad at me because you kept calling me a blanket hog when we both had the blanket, and then you would just take it and rip it all away from me and tuck yourself into it and be like, he told me I got so mad. I'm like, stop taking the blanket, you're such a blanket hog. And I'd tuck like a burrito, tuck myself into it. So we had one blanket, so he had nothing all night. Poor guy.
And he's such a nice guy. I'm sure he was like,
nice
I'm so sorry.
He probably tucked me in more. He's probably like, she'll remember this in the morning.
Nope.
I woke up he must have been hot. I was going to tell that first half too. That's when I can't tell that half on this podcast.
You can't. It's uncensored. It's my favorite.
Really?
I love that story.
Oh my
if you want to, it's your life. It's yours and his life. So if you want to divulge that, but this is uncensored adult version.
All right, don't judge me, people. I've been with my boyfriend for a while. We're very happy. I'm not a crazy sexual person anymore. I'm older. I've been on some birth control that has just ruined my hormones. But
fuck birth control.
Yes, but tequila talks to me in the right way. So when
it does. Yes. I didn't know tequila was your game.
Yeah, tequila. Vodka makes me sleepy and keeps me level-headed, I can be pretty much. Although obviously I turn into somebody else when I wake up in the middle of the night. But
I want to call her Veronica, and I don't know why.
Tequila is more I would name her Tequila. That's
Tequila's her name. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I came inside, normally I just go right to bed, and he said quote, I reminded him of Jim Carrey from Bruce Almighty when he went like this, and all his clothes just came off. I just walked in and I was like, oh, I'm ready, and so obviously, he's like, all right. So he gets up and he goes to kiss me. I lay in bed, and it was he's had 20 seconds and I was out snoring cold, and he was poking me babe,
you started this,
babe. Yeah, he's like, are you awake? And then that's when the whole blanket situation happened. So I completely 180'd on him, and he was like, I don't know what's happening.
You were you undressed, said fuck me, and then you're a blanket hog, I'm a burrito.
Don't touch me, I'd rather have fuzzy blankets on me.
So evil. Okay, the Bruce Almighty thing reminded me the other day, my girlfriend and I are getting ready for bed, and we're brushing our teeth. She walks out of the bathroom. I am not joking. Within 2 seconds, she walks back into the bathroom completely naked. And she was fully clothed. Socks, shoes, everything. And I wasn't even oh my God, you're naked. Who? I was like, how the fuck did you do that? And she was like, what? I was like, you stripped completely naked? I'm not joking. You walked out of the room, did a 180, and then walked back in completely naked. She's like, I took off my clothes. I was like, how? How did you do? It was, now all I'm imagining her Bruce Almighty her entire clothes off.
I've always been that way. And it really came out when
Bruce Almighty your clothes off?
No, nude.
Oh.
And that's basically what I would do. When I used to live in Texas, my ex that I lived with out there, he used to laugh all the time because I'd get home from work. I'd start at the door, and it would always start if I had like a hat or something around my neck or whatever at first, like a keychain or something. It'd always start with that first, and then came the shirt, and then came the bra. I'd shimmy down like the jeans or the pants, take off the underwear, kick off the socks, and I'd be on the toilet first to go piss because I always have to pee no matter where I'm at. And then I go pee, and then I'd wind up in the shower, and then for the rest of the day, dinner, whatever, I am absolutely naked. You make me wear clothes, and you're not just clothes, but you're ugly ass employee uniforms all day. I'm gonna be nothing but nude for the rest of it, you know? So it was my favorite thing, and that's why I can't wait to have my own place again, so I could just be naked everywhere. I would not mind if we lived in a nude society.
When you stay here alone, are you naked?
A lot.
I am so glad I do not check the Furbo when you're here. Your girlfriend tells me I'm not allowed to look at the Furbo.
Although when I do walk out of the room or if I go like out there, I always like at least have like a bra and underwear on, because I'm like, bathing suit.
Huh. Yeah, I never check the Furbo.
No.
When you're babysitting.
But that's why sometimes I'll mess with you too. I go up to the Furbo, and I'm like, to try to set it off, and I'm like, or Dylan and I would be saying something, and I'll be like, oh, Rachel would like this conversation. Turn around and be like, yeah, I'll like talk to you like you're literally right there. The Furbo becomes you when you leave.
I love the Furbo. It's caught great moments.
Yeah. Or the front of your ring alarm too is my favorite thing.
I always check the ring alarm because you're outside. That's public domain.
Yeah.
I will look at the ring camera.
Yeah, it makes sense. I would too.
Before we take another shot, let's check to see if we have a sponsor for today.
Ooh,
sponsor. All right, let's take a shot. Girlfriend's texting me. Didn't have time to get an Uber. Oh, she's just gonna leave her car there. Okay, I'm picking her up from her work so she can drink while working.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that for you guys.
What? That she can drink and I'll pick her up?
No, just your relationship. It's so good. Like, that's how a relationship literally should be. It's like you guys are there. I hate it when people are like, I give 50, you give 50. Fuck that.
No,
we're giving
100.
100.
You each give 100.
And I like the fact that there's no, like, I feel like so many couples argue about little things like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. Nope. This is my career. This is No, it's like, it's not about any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just about you. And I think that's my favorite. Like, I feel like Dylan and my relationship is so similar to you guys. And that's why, like, your guys' relationship too, and watching how similar you guys are and how similar we are, like, and because I was going through that weird patch like for a while, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That's when we've kind of started becoming friends.
Yeah, it's really helped me just like see the value in him and what I saw before, Yeah, and that's what I got confused at for a while, like. With Dylan and I, like, I knew that he wasn't ever doing anything necessarily that was like making me done with the relationship, nothing that was like my end point, and I knew that I still had love for him, so that's why I wasn't ready to let go, but I just didn't understand like what the disconnect was, and I finally realized like the disconnect, regardless of what I was going through, was myself. And not only that, I started to look at the wrong things. I started to see my girlfriends that were living their single life. I started to see some of the guys that they would talk to, and even though some of it was a lot of drama, it was fun. And I had to identify the fact that I am so used to toxic relationships.
Having a healthy one is so weird to get used to.
It is. And that was a huge thing for me to realize, is I realized I was telling myself that not that Dylan was ever, and obviously you can put this in if you end up putting it in, but not that Dylan was ever boring, ever. I don't ever want that to be
he's
how
fun.
that to come around, but I for some reason was feeling bored.
A girlfriend has talked about this a lot with her friends in front of me, and like I've thought about it as well. With toxic relationships, it's so intense because you're fighting.
That cat and mouse.
It's that cat and mouse that you're intensely fighting. Your emotions are all over the board. And then when you're not fighting, you're like, oh my God, this is great. We're not fighting. And then you fight again. And it's like your highs and lows, up and down. It's up and down.
I was even one of those people that used to look like, I realized in most of my relationship, most of my sexual times were with those boyfriends were after fighting. You know what it like it really,
I can't have sex after fighting.
See, it really showed me how I was the problem. Mentally, I really had to step out of it, and I'm more, these realizations that I've come to in these last few months, I'm so grateful for it, because where Dylan and I are now, like I again, I'm so legit, like I feel like is the last good man on this earth. Like, not that it's true, but that's how I feel. Like,
I told you this yesterday. We have a list of genuinely good guys that we like approve of, and we're like, yeah, because like some dudes, I'm like, that guy's a piece of shit. She's like, what? I'm like, are you not noticing this and this? And she's like, oh my God, he is a piece of shit. But she's like, are there any good ones? So we made a list of like good guys. Brittany's husband, Mason.
He's awesome.
Your boyfriend, Dylan. Girlfriend's brother Bear. Her friend, Pop. And then her other friend, he doesn't have a nickname. So Eric, you guys will never meet him. So we've got 5 guys and Dylan is on that list.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how we met and how like, cause our romantic relationships coincide with each other and how our relationship
they really
grew.
do. It's pretty interesting.
So let's take a shot real quick.
Woo, I'm excited.
Well, we gotta cheers.
I gotta say, when we met, I was really hoping that you had a crush on me, so you'd bring me over to this side, and I'm so happy it didn't go that way.
What the
I'm just fucking with you.
You can't do that! Joy! I was like, you're about to make everything
Because when you said our relationship, it made me think about
our friendship.
I know, I'm fucking with you. I've never.
God, I was like, oh my God, girlfriend's gonna be weird with us hanging out now.
No. But although, don't put this in. But
you've okay. Let's take a shot and we'll talk about things.
Cheers.
Here, cheers to our friendships and healthy
Cheers to our
relationships.
friendship and healthy relationships.
Thank you.
And being honest. And your beautiful highlighted hair. It gets lighter and lighter. I feel like every time I see you.
It's the sun.
It's great.
I
I love the sun. Except for when it's hot. I said I love the sun, except for when it's hot.
I thought you said my hair looks great unless it's hot. And I was like, what does that mean? All right. So Joy and I, actually, before we talk about this, I'm going to check to see if we have another sponsor for today. Sponsor. Always my backup. So Joy and I met, I was going to a dog trainer who was having group classes and you were an assistant. And I met you once at a park during this session. And I was like, who's this? Okay, don't care. And then Louie, he's at the door whining. You're fine.
He'd sit there.
Go play with Snoop.
Yeah, go lay down on your spot.
You own the couch here. You're fine.
Go.
So, and then the head dude that owned the dog training thing hired me to be his assistant as well.
Let me go put him on the couch so he doesn't sit there.
All right, that's fine. I'll pause. Sorry, dog has been put on a couch. So the trainer then hired me as assistant. So we were assistants together. Even though you'd been there for 3 years, we were on the same level for some magical reason. Listen, he's never going to see this.
No.
This trainer was a raging piece of shit. He was an asshole of all assholes. And
unfortunately, I was blind to a lot of things.
You were blind to a lot of it. So he hired me as assistant. Well, he didn't hire me. I was working.
Although he said he had hired you.
I was volunteering. I don't know. He was like, hey, do you want to be an assistant? I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to get free dog training out of this. And, you know, I'm down to like volunteer my time or whatever.
Learn more about not just your dog, but multiple dogs.
Yeah, because I love dog training. I was like super into it. So he started having sessions on his ranch. And it was like, he's like, okay, we're doing a group of like, what was it, 4 sessions or 6 sessions or something
like, or no, I think it was like 3, right? We had like our morning, our middle, and then our last one.
So he was doing this like thing at his ranch or whatever. And Joy was there and because she was a trainer as well. And the more I got to know this guy, you know, seeing him outside of classes, because we'd have to go to his house and talk about things or whatever, I realized how terrible of a human he was. He was belittling, he was sexist, he was racist, he was homophobic, he was like all of these things. Huge Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Like just
so many inappropriate jokes. And to be honest, I was blind for it for a lot of the time because to be fair, when I first met him, he was just beginning like the train and getting into the training world. He had a dog that was really aggressive that he sought help for, and that kind of changed his demeanor and his mindset on, you know, what he wanted to do, and he wanted to help dogs. So he started off with the right mindset, right?
Yes.
And he was, while I was mentoring with him, he was finding his way. And up until like those last moments where like I did meet Rachel and Rachel came in, everything was going pretty smoothly. And then I started to realize that a couple of techniques and a couple of things were starting to get questionable. And I realized that one of the number one reasons why was because he never seemed to care about how he could like do better. Like he just got to this point where he stopped learning.
Yeah. He cared because what he did, because when I first met him, he was living at like a normal house, doing all his sessions at these parks. And then he bought a ranch for way too much money and then realized he was in over his head. And he became extremely money hungry.
And that's what it looks like on the outside. And then not only that, with COVID also hitting and you just bought this really expensive ranch, like we could give every excuse in the book to try to understand why some of the things happened that they did. But at the end of the day, I had to walk away because we are dealing with animals and it's our responsibility to make sure that we're doing the best we can. And I just didn't feel like I was in a place to do that anymore.
Yeah, you're a phenomenal human being. I'm going to talk about this more.
Yeah.
So... So as the sessions went on, like we had like, I think it was like, he had it's like several weeks we had to show up at like every Sunday or every Saturday at like fucking 8 a.m. and it was 40 minutes away. I was like, what am I doing? And I realized more and more this guy's a piece of shit and I hated being there and I didn't want to help. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't need to be here at all. And then, but as I did that, I started looking around the group, like being like, okay, I've started realizing who this guy was. He's a master manipulator. He preys on women mainly. And he's like, he had the same spiel to get everyone to like kind of fall in love with him. He was someone that needed everyone to like him. And so I started looking around the group being like, okay, who are these people that's working for him as well? And then I was like, this chick's hilarious. And I was just like, he ragged on you so much. He treated you like dirt. And I was like, she's been working with him for a long time and he's treating her like dirt. And I could tell you weren't okay with it.
Yeah.
And then we had to do a CPR class. Yeah. And I looked at you and we sat next to each other and I looked at you and I was like, you want to go to lunch together? Mm-hmm. And you were like, yeah.
And we were having a great time up until that too. Like
we were having so much fun. And the whole class period, we sat next to each other. We were the class clowns, but also paying attention.
Yeah.
And we were having so much fun. And I'm someone that's like, I click with you or I don't. If I click with you, great. We'll be best friends. I promise. If I don't click with you, I have no desire to put in the effort for a relationship. It's like...
It just is what it is.
It is what it is.
You get to a point in your life where it doesn't take you very long to hang around somebody to know whether they're worth that time or not.
Yes. Yeah. And with you, I was like, I want her to be my best friend. And so there was like a few times like when we were doing stuff, I was always like, where's Joy? Where's Joy? Where's Joy?
I got to a point before we even had lunch, I got to a point to where like I would question myself going there because I would be nervous about like, okay, what's going to happen today? Am I going to get yelled at today? Am I going to mess up here? And then, but the one thing that I had, I was like, well, Rachel's going to be there. Like, you know?
Yeah. And I, when we went to, we were in lunch, we drove back from lunch. I was like, you know, he's mean to you, right? And you were like,
I almost cried, I think, when you said that. I was like, wait, you noticed that too? Because he played it off at like, oh, I'm going to make jokes at your expense so that he can like level with like his clients or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I'll make jokes at you guys.
You can't do it back.
Oh, that's literally what he said. He was like, I will make jokes at your guys' expense, his assistants, to lighten the mood for the clients, but you cannot make jokes towards me because I need to be respected, is what he said.
And for the majority of the time, I was the butt of his joke. And I wrote it off as like, well, he's known me like the longest, basically. But then I couldn't even make that an excuse because I don't even think he honestly remembered how long he'd even known me.
No, it's insane. So eventually, once COVID hit, the classes got canceled for a bit. And then he kept asking me if I was going to come back. And I straight up was like, listen, dude, love you. Hope I didn't say love you. I said, I wish you and your family well and your business well, but I don't think this is the right fit for me. The group of people around wasn't my vibe. Have a good life. It's basically how it went down for me. And then, so I didn't have a dog trainer anymore, and I needed help with a few things with both my dogs.
And during this time, you also casually said to me, because we never talked necessarily directly about him. She was just like, you notice that he's like this with you, right? You know?
Yeah.
And then another thing during COVID time, you had hit me up. I remember you saying, does it bother you at all that like you're being left on like the outside during COVID, remember?
Yeah, because I was still in the group chats because I hadn't decided to quit yet. I didn't have it wasn't a job. I decided to not volunteer, but I hadn't told them yet for a bit. So I was still in the group chats because COVID made it so like we couldn't get together.
Right.
You know, there was no reason to quit.
Right.
At that moment. And so he would text after the group and you would respond and he wouldn't respond to you.
Yeah.
And it was like this really weird, like as an outsider, I'm just like viewing it. How is he talking to everyone?
But immediately respond to everybody. Like,
yeah. And so I would text you and he gave us this contract, which I never signed because no, I do not sign contracts. Thank you very much.
And he called me out for wanting to read it.
Yeah. And like, there was this, there was this contract that was like
this
bullshit.
NDA. For
it was
training.
It was the worst. And I texted you and I was like, listen, don't know if you're cool with me saying this, but like, have you read this shit?
Yeah.
It was insane. So like, and then I was like, hey, I was like, I know I'm going to vibe with this chick. So I was like, hey, do you want to go take Blaze on a walk with me every once in a while?
Yeah. So we went to that park.
Yeah. So her and I hung out a few times. And then it was right when COVID was happening because we talked about COVID, but it like wasn't a thing yet in the States. We talked about that it was in China, and then COVID hit, so I didn't see anyone for a really long time.
Yeah, although we kept texting and
kept texting, keeping in contact, and
but
we went
just
on
here and there.
We went on one hike, and you and Dylan had like separated at that point.
Yeah,
and I hadn't told you, but I knew I was going to break up with my dude. But like wasn't telling anyone. And then once I finally broke up with my dude and I started getting on dating apps, I realized everyone and their mother has dogs. Blaze has a really hard time meeting new dogs. He has a really hard time with it. It's just not his vibe. And I didn't know if Snoop was good with it or not. Because I got Snoop and he was weird with people, so I didn't bring him around places, and I didn't know if he was good with other dogs.
Right.
And so I was like, oh my God, everyone on these dating apps has dogs. And then I met Girlfriend who has a mini golden doodle.
Right.
And I was like, I need to get my dogs squared away perfect before I like before I go out into the world again, basically. Yeah. So I hit up Joy and I was like, listen, I don't have a dog trainer anymore. Can you do this? Yeah. And she was like, yes, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do asshole anymore. I need just you. And she's like, I got this. And I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm like crying on the phone with her because like my life is dramatic. I just in an 8-year relationship. I'm trying to start a date again. I'm figuring out that I'm gay. Like all these things are happening. And she was like,
and my butt's wagging like a dog. I'm
yeah,
like,
you're like,
I got this. I got this. I know what to do. I've been waiting for this moment.
I had hung out with you solo maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And you were like, I can move in.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. So your ass moved in for 2 weeks for like, you were like, okay, I will move in on the 7th for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then
every day we did something.
And every day we will work with those dogs to make them perfect. And then I will move out and we'll come back constantly and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, perfect. And then you were here from the actual start of me and Girlfriend's relationship.
Yes. Literally the day
that she was the reason.
I was like, I'm here now, go.
Yeah, because like I was stuck with my boys. Like I had never left because my ex was always home, so I never had to worry about leaving the dogs ever.
Right,
so I could just leave. I had never left them home alone.
That's crazy.
And I was like, it was so bizarre, and like they had never been alone. So I was like, this is gonna be weird for them. It's weird for me, and I was supposed to have this date with Girlfriend, and then it ended up like she texted me just being like, why don't you like come kiss me? And I was like, ah! And Joy is the reason I went, because she was like, I got this. Hold on. Who did you end up texting? Because you were like, I will text my friend yes or no. She always knows the answer. I'm not going to give her any context.
Who was it?
Was it Taylor or Lexi?
I feel like it was Lexi. I just texted her and I gave her, I said, yeah, I think I said yes or no.
And she said,
I said,
yes.
Don't say anything. Just say yes or no. And because we're like, you know, those intellectual kind of like universal beings. So I was like, we got this. Yes or no. And she just said yes. And I looked at her, you have to go. Tonight's the night.
Yes. And so Joy was living at my house. I ditched her.
Yeah.
I went and happily ditched. And she was like, I got your dogs. Go.
I literally had to prep talk too. Because she was like sweating bullets.
I was running around, tearing my shirt off. I was having a panic attack. And she was like, listen. She grabbed me.
She kept saying, but what if? I was like, nope. No what ifs.
You were like,
and
do
you
it.
Set up the dope.
That was the date. I'm talking about the first time we just went and met each other. I hung out with her for 3 hours,
Oh, you did. I don't know why I put those together.
That was
no,
because it was 2 days later.
You're right.
So you were like, you got this. You slapped me across the face, put me in clothes, smelled me, made sure I smelled.
Can we talk about the fact
You gave me lotion that smelled like
I literally have it a brand new.
You gave me
brand
the vanilla bean.
unopened vanilla bean freaking lotion.
Because girlfriend had told me her favorite scents were either like sugar cookie or vanilla bean.
And I looked at her and was like, no shit.
And you're like,
give me a minute.
Have it.
Ran to my car, brand new.
She's lathering
my best
me
friend
up.
actually even gave that to me for I think like Christmas or something. So that's why I was like, and that my best friend's the same when I asked her yes or no. So
Lexi, I owe much to Lexi.
Man, it's crazy.
So Joyce just kicked me out the door and like, you're doing this. I was like, I know I'm doing it. I just need to freak out a little bit.
Don't think about your dogs once.
And you were like, I got this. And I was like, okay. So I left Joy alone. I drove to girlfriend. We had a magical night together of just like talking and like we made out a little bit. No hanky panky. And then, hanky panky. And then I drove back at like, I got home at what, 3 a.m.?
Early. Yeah, it was late.
I got home at like 3 a.m. because I met up with her at like 10 or 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Hung out with her for a few hours.
I have made this bitch send me her location.
Yes!
I'm
Joyce
sitting. I was like, this is great. And then at one point, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, I just sent the Rachel Ballinger to her death. I was like, who is her mom? Who is her dad? I was like, if anything happens, I started looking around and I'm like, I know nothing about her. And I was like,
I had no idea who I was when we met. And it's why I actually like, I'm obsessed with you because you know nothing. You know nothing.
And I even feel like sometimes people might hear that and be like, oh, come on. No, I swear to you, I lived a very sheltered life. I was not allowed on computers and YouTube and things like that. When I talk about it, I call it the YouTube. Who calls it the YouTube? Okay, because my parents called it that. You're not allowed on the YouTube. Okay, I had no idea.
She had no idea.
I missed out on the fact that I missed out on Miranda Sings when I was younger makes me sometimes so depressed.
It's depressing
because she's amazing. So
that as a childhood is a lot of fun.
I lost a lot.
You missed out,
but it was for a reason.
Yes. So I still share my location with you.
Yes.
Because I shared my location
if you don't
as
answer
I left.
me within 45 minutes, I check it.
Oh my God.
So I want to make sure you're okay. You're important to a lot of people.
I love you so much.
I swear if you went missing, I'd be the first one to show up.
Yep. Yeah. I share my location with you, Kelly Six, my parents, and my sister.
We would all be in Avengers outfits ready to go.
My sister pregnant with twins waddling around. You're like got 17 dogs with you. You're like, sniff.
Yeah.
Hunt.
Find her. I would just need Blaze. Are you kidding me?
That dude would sniff me.
Give him like a shirt or something. You'd be like, let's go. Yeah, he'd find you.
Him and Snoop. Oh man. But then 2 days later, we girlfriend and I had an actual first date.
Yeah.
And you were there for the whole thing. You dressed me. You smelled me.
Mm-hmm.
You spent the night. I was gone from like 5 p.m. one night till like I think I came home at like 10 a.m. the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good date.
Great date.
It was a great date. You helped me get ready for that. Yeah, and then whatever girlfriend would come over, you were here. You basically lived with me for a month.
Yeah.
On and off for a month. And then
great. It was fun.
And then you got back with Dylan.
Yeah.
And moved back in with Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And and then it's like we both have like kind of grown our romantic relationships while our friendship has grown.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful.
I think because we've been able to grow in so many ways together too. Like we're so similar, yet also we're so similar in so many ways we need to be similar, but we're so different in the ways that we need to push each other.
Yes.
And that's why I appreciate our friendship so much.
Yes.
You know, you've really, like that day when I said to you, I was like, oh, just tell me, am I being a bitch? And I'm like, okay. And I said, so Dylan, you said yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Because like I'm a bitch because I have been with so many asshole men that I have I like in a good way but kind of bad way too. I have found my voice in a way to where like I'm reading a lot of Leo stuff and it seems like Leos are this way too, so I don't know how much my zodiac sign plays into this. I'm very direct.
We hate our zodiac signs being
used against us. But when I read it and it's right, I'm so pissed.
Listen, I'm still going to say the same with this shit. It can be applied to anybody.
It can.
It's fun to look at it. It's fun to like, if it says you're going to have a good day, it can help you manifest a good day, or help you self-reflect, think about yourself. But when you start using that shit against me, I'm going to pop you in your fucking mouth.
And so in return, like I found my voice, but in a way to where I was like, coddled by it, sheltered by it, to where I'm like, this is what I know, this is what I think, I don't care what you say, this is how I feel, it doesn't matter. And then when you said that to me that day, and I was like, but no, I'm really valid in this, listen, like, it's so frustrating, I say it so many times, whatever, and the way that you talk to me and work through it, I that really resonated with me too. And I realized I forgot the word compromise.
There you go.
You know, and I was like, even though I am important, I have to realize that it's not always about me, and that not only that, I am not with somebody I need to be defensive or sheltered or guarded. I'm with somebody that I can be vulnerable and mess up sometimes, you know.
And he might mess up, and that's okay. But like, his mess ups aren't going to be like, oops, I put my dick in someone else.
Exactly.
His mess ups
are like, oh, I didn't pay attention to the fact that you were feeling that way. I'm so sorry.
Or like, oh my God, I forgot this one thing that we have to go do.
Dylan is so graceful, and so like, he just relinquishes, like, he's not selfish at all.
No.
And I think that's why we do so well together, because he's like that, and he puts my needs first, and ultimately I've started to realize that I don't have to put my needs first anymore, because somebody else is. And it allows me the space to be able to figure out like his needs and how to put him first. You know, and like, I'm able to breathe and realize that now I don't have to look forward to like the next argument. I get and to be able to like validate, like, no, you should be with me, right? I get to look for, I know it's messed up.
You used to look forward to the next argument?
Yes, like I was in really bad relationships, like bad, like, and now I get to look forward to the fact of like actually building a future and what we can grow together. And I think the one thing that has brought us so close together that I would not trade for anything in the world is how supportive he is with what I do. You know, and in the moments where I have my doubts and I think like, oh, maybe I'm not meant for this, he's one of the first people to tell me, you're so wrong.
You have a different job. You're a dog trainer. That's not a normal thing.
And for people like us that don't take failure easily.
No, we do not.
I was saying on my Instagram live the other day, I have to realize that like everybody has said to me, when you're working with animals, especially when you're working with people, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I have to figure out how to handle the failure, because it's going to happen. And the best way to handle the failure is to find the opportunity, right? So
that day when you were like, because we immediately became best friends. There was no doubt.
No.
But we had been best friends for a very short amount of time.
Even though some people might have questioned it and thought that like it was otherwise.
Like, people thought that we were dating. And we're like, no, you guys assumed her sexuality. Shame on you.
And some people also thought that I was only friends with you because of who you were, and I had no idea who you were.
You're like, I don't know what is this?
You spell your last name to put it in my phone. I'm like, Ballin. And then, can we talk real quick about how I figured out who you are?
Because Emily, you talked to Emily, who knows me. Emily and I talked about that.
So I went to brunch with Emily.
I'm just going to pour you another shot. I'm assuming you'll take it.
Yes. Okay. I went to brunch with Emily, who was my friend before everybody was friends with her.
You both are so bitter when I hang out with one before the... I
just like to make her sweat because she's an Aries.
Don't use that shit against me. It's because I'm a people pleaser and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, which was why it was really hard for me to tell you that you were being a bitch to Dylan, but I wanted to be a good friend. And a good friend does not enable, but lets you know what the fuck is up.
When she yells at me,
what the fuck,
it
Kyle?
makes me feel good because I feel like she really loves me because she doesn't raise her voice.
I don't raise
my voice. So when she raises her voice at me in a really fucked up way, I'm like... Because I'm a Leo. See, I use it against myself.
I hate it.
So I went to brunch with my friend Emily and her wife. Then wife. So I'm telling her about this awesome person I met that I love so much. And I'm like, I literally said, like, I feel like this is the reason why I was doing what I was doing so that I could meet this person. I'm so excited. Whatever. And then I said to her, I go, let me show her Instagram. I go, she has 1 million followers. I don't know why. I literally said that. Okay. Never thought to Google her. Never thought to look her up on any other thing. I said, a lot of people found her page. Like, I don't know what I thought, okay? I was like, she has over 1 million followers. I don't know why. So,
oh my God.
It sounds so mean, but I meant it in the most naive way. And so then I turn around to Emily, who's like the YouTube queen.
She is obsessed with YouTubers.
Obsessed. I turn the around.
And she does, I want to say real quick, Emily does a really good job of making sure I know that she's not using me. And she's very much, we're friends now.
She
and
is so grateful.
She is so grateful. She never uses.
She's such a sweet, genuine person.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I brought her around.
Yes.
I knew. The more and more that Emily and I were hanging out, I was like, oh my God, I know you guys would get along so well. I have to bring her around. Yeah. I knew it. Because I would never bring anyone here that
she's a good energy.
Yes. So I turned my phone around to show her, and her then wife literally, like, their faces drop to the ground. And they're like, you don't know who the fuck that is? And I was like,
I love you.
I look at them and I was like, should I? You know, I was like, no. Like, I was really embarrassed. I was ready to leave brunch. And then they were like, that's Rachel Ballinger. That's Miranda Singh's sister. And I was like, You know, like, I just looked at them with a blank stare. And then Emily goes, you don't know who Miranda Sings is? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I really don't know how to answer these questions. Like, I was like, I'm nervous.
Like, I have no idea what's happening.
I looked at it, I was like, no, I don't. So immediately, Emily just gives me the whole layout of who they are, all this stuff. She's like, are you kidding me? They're amazing. They're awesome. They've been around for so long. And I just sat there and I was like, oh, cool. You know, I was like, that's so cool.
You don't give a flying fuck.
Not in the most nicest way. I respect everything, but I was like, awesome. Listen. Like, it didn't make me second guess or my brain, I don't know. I was just like, that's
Joy?
I thought that makes sense why she has 1 million followers.
Joy is like the purest human being. First, let's take these shots. Actually, let's check to see if we have another sponsor, our last sponsor for today, and then take these shots. Sponsor. Cheers. You take the
this is actually really fun. I like this.
I told you would.
I'm so nervous.
Okay, to you not knowing who the fuck I was.
Cheers.
You take the shot first.
Cheers. I was nervous because, you know, I talk so much and ramble so much. I was like, sometimes that gets to me especially when I'm going to go meet new people. I'm like, Joy, don't talk so much. Don't be annoying. Blah, 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 blah. Right?
That's what you need on a podcast.
But this is what a podcast is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is perfect.
And I am even though I'm extremely ADD with you, I'm really good at, because when I go into work mode, I can always bring it back to whatever we were talking about.
You have taught me so much. Now when I talk to people, I'll lose my train of thought. My best friend Lexi and I, we used to lose our train of thought all the time. We literally would be in the most deepest conversation. She'd go, I don't know what I was going to say. And she goes, what was I saying? I said, I don't know. And we would just end it, right?
Stop!
End it. Now that you do that, I'm like, no, Rachel has taught me that we have to think this through. What were we talking about? And Lexi and I will sit there and go through things and we'll go, oh, we got it. Like, we get so excited. You have taught me a lot about my brain.
You're welcome. Did I tell you you have ADHD, or did you know that before you met me?
No, you told me that. You
gave
me the answers to all my questions. And now that I'm reading more into it, I'm like, oh my God. And then I told my
undiagnosed with women.
It is. And actually I found out that it's very common to be undiagnosed up until your mid-20s in women. And then I told my mom about it. My mom, I love my mom. She's a big believer in science and medication. That's great. I love it. She looks at me. I told her, I was like, Mom, Rachel Ballinger let me know that I have ADHD, and she's right. Like, you know, my mom was like, they have medication for that. I said, oh no, I am functioning. It's like, I told my mom, it is a superpower, actually. I can do 9 things at a time and complete 7.
The perfect definition of ADHD. I can do 9 things at a time and complete 7.
My mom has ADHD too, so she looked at me and she was like, me too. My mom totally agreed.
If I have to do just one thing, I won't do it.
I can't. I realize I used to always say, I feel like I suffer from this weird anxious depression where, like, if I have something in the day where I have to do, I'm not able to think about or do anything until that time. And I realize it's called ADHD depression. I didn't know that was like a thing where if you have like an appointment for something,
if I have therapy,
you physically can't do anything until that time.
If I have therapy at 3, I cannot do anything until I have my therapy at 3.
Oh my God, it's crazy. And that's why, like, I, again, love what I do in dog training, and I appreciate it because I have clients on a regular day basis. So when I get in that mode, I look at it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I even look at myself and I'm like, go take a shower, go brush your teeth, go train your dogs for 5 minutes, go on a walk, go edit a video.
This is why I'm so big about lists and schedules.
Yeah.
I love a schedule because I'm like letting myself know, no, you have time to do things.
Yeah. And that's something that I built in myself naturally. When I started making lists and stuff, I realized how much better it made me feel.
Yes, I love
And
a
then
list.
that's one of the number one things for people that have ADHD. And then another thing, I swear to God, I can't even fill up my dog's water bowl with the water sitting there without going 1, 2, 3, 4. For some reason, I have to count how long it takes, and I don't know why. And then I saw that, and I've done that my whole life. And I found out that that is a symptom. And it doesn't make me like anxious or more like, oh, I need help. It actually brings me peace understanding why that I do it.
Yeah, I have never taken. I was officially diagnosed in 1st grade.
Oh, wow.
And I have never taken medication for it. Ritalin was the first thing out, and it was just out.
Yeah.
And like right when like it had just come out, and my mom was like, my mom is very like with vaccines and stuff. She was like, I'm gonna see how other kids react to it first. So I didn't
There's
get
nothing wrong with being safe.
No. So I never got the chickenpox when I was a kid. So she waited till I was 12 to give me the chickenpox vaccination because it had been out for a while. And then I was homeschooled because the school said put her on Ritalin or homeschool her. So my mom homeschooled me.
Wow, really?
They said
Good
she's
for
too
your mom.
disruptive in class. And so my mom homeschooled
Homeschool's
me.
not easy. That's good.
Well, I wasn't actually homeschooled. I just kind of like
You could
fucked
hang
around.
out. Recess.
It was recess.
My mom literally said I would have homeschooled you guys if I didn't think that I was going to have you in recess 24 hours of the day.
Yes, I was in recess 24 hours a day. And I didn't learn to read till I was in like 7th grade.
That's
That's
incredible.
fine. I caught up. Because my ADHD let me catch up, but I just had to get a handle on it.
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to function with it. I had to figure out how to learn, and I learn and function different than everyone else, but I love it because I feel like I'm really good at procrastinating.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, I perform amazingly.
And my brain always worked well too, to where like if you ask me something, I could literally sit there, like even a math problem, I could sit there and you'd see my eyes and I could like work through it. If you asked me to sit there and read it and then do the work and all this, I couldn't.
No, I was like, I don't have the patience to show my work with math.
And then you want to confuse me by adding 6 sentences that don't even have nothing to do with the problem.
I got so good at word problems. So I was like, fuck Joe, fuck your watermelons. This is what I need.
Yeah. I was the savage that was like, how many watermelons did Joe need? I don't know, ask Joe. I was so pissed. By the time I tried hard, and then by the end of it, I was like, I don't know. Find Joe, because I need to know.
Did he want or did he need? Oh, my video stopped recording. Hold on. Yeah. What was I going to say about you earlier? I'm bringing it back because that was the amazing conversation. Oh, how I know you genuinely love me, not for who I am, but because of what I like. Not,
I would have never got back there.
Not because of my name, but because of like just me as myself. The other day, Joyce shocked me with the most complimentary sentence on the goddamn planet. It was 4th of July.
Okay.
You came over and you said, I will fight anyone that says, I don't know how you phrased it, but basically you said, you are the best person I know, and I will fight anyone who will try and argue different.
Yes. I at first I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I remember saying that. I was like, I remember, I looked around, I was like, you are literally the best human being I know, and I would fight anyone on that would try to argue that.
And she said this in front of other human beings in which she's friends with and her boyfriend.
Yes. It's literally true. Let me tell you why it's true. Because although I love every single person that is in my life, and they're all in my life for a reason.
This is just a brag about me segment, so enjoy.
The reason why I feel like that about Rachel is because she reminds me so much of myself. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because it's not easy. It's very rare to find somebody that genuinely not only cares about themselves in a way to where like you take care of yourself first, you make sure everything is good with you so that, you know, you can move forward in your life, you know.
I love myself
but
so I can love others.
You gracefully move forward with the people that you love. I love people that can set healthy boundaries for themselves. I love people that can not only be on my level, but also set it such a high example for me to where I feel like I constantly have to reach for something. So it's like that. I've never really had a friendship that was like that. Like I always kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain, but I think the last sentence was basically it. It's like you feel like you're on my level, but at moments you shock the fuck out of me and you say something or do something where I'm like, I want to be like that. Because I'm constantly trying to do better. I know being perfect isn't a thing. I don't believe in 2 words. I don't believe in the word perfect.
Okay, same.
And I don't believe in the word normal.
Same.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
When people use those words to me, especially in training, I always tell them that and I say, I believe in being the best that you possibly can be.
Giving your best as
we're
much as you
humans
can.
and we're gonna fuck up.
We are gonna fuck up.
It's gonna happen.
I fuck up.
I have fucked up.
I am sometimes petty and I don't mean to be, like I don't want to be. And it happens, like
there's times
human.
where my emotions will take over who
Yes.
I truly am, who I mentally am, you know, and at the end of the day, I always try to come back around and realize that, like, even though I say it's like a situation where I'm trying to cut off like a friend, right? Because I've been doing that recently in the last few years and it hasn't been easy, but it's been something that I've needed to do. And it's something where I come back around and sometimes I think to myself, are you being a bitch? Should you compromise? Should you hear them out? Should you this? Should you that? And then run through the list and be like, no, I have these valid set breaking points that I have to have in my life.
You have to set boundaries.
I have to have in my life because I'm a people pleaser.
Same.
And I will take it too far.
Yep.
I found myself almost 9 years deep into relationships that I should not have been
And
in.
you're just enabling them. If you don't set boundaries, you're enabling them.
Exactly. And so at that point, like being able to come back and be like, I know I was harsh. I know I may have done some things or said some things to that person that they didn't understand at that time, but I know I'm a good person. I'm just trying to get to where I want to go. I'm just trying to be healthy, positive, happy. And at the end of the day, even the people that I'm not happy with, even the people that have hurt me, have cut me off, I will never sit here and say that I hate somebody. I also hate that word.
Yes.
The only time I use the word hate is when I say I hate that word. You know, because it's a very strong word. I don't hate anybody. I truly appreciate everybody that has come in and out of my life, negative or positive, because I have fought so hard to find the opportunity and the lesson and everything that I've gone through. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you're the one person so far in my life that I don't necessarily ever have to go back and look at those kind of things and be like, oh, we've been through this, or we've conquered this, or whatever. Instead of, I'm constantly looking at, oh, I want to do this. I want to be like that. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, to be able to have somebody in my life that is more of an inspiration than somebody that I have to feel like I have to worry about or care for or be there for or any of those things. Not saying that that's wrong. I love everybody, but that kind of friendship is a friendship I've never had, and it's something I never realized I needed. I appreciate that.
I love you. I know physical touch is not your love language, but I gotta touch you.
I love you. And I love you that you know it's not my language, but it's a language I only have with certain people. Yeah. I told Rachel she wants to make me a chiropractor appointment. I told her, I love you. I literally can't have somebody I don't know physically touch me.
So I adjusted her.
She adjusted me just well.
That's what you call it, is when you adjust.
It felt so good when you cracked my back. I've had multiple people want to crack my back. People I've known in my life since like the day I was born. And the second they touch me, I'm like, don't touch me. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. But we're not going to talk about that.
I know what it is too. But we're fine.
But we're going to end it out. I don't know what it is.
It's not a laughing matter.
It's not, but it is.
But I can adjust you.
Yes.
Because I've created a trust bond with you.
But I mean that wholeheartedly.
Thank you. What is your worst moment with me?
Worst moment. The worst moment with me, cut this out if I can't talk about it. The worst moment with you was when I had to tell you about the incident with Blaze. When he nips.
That was your worst.
I cried hard. I could cry about it now. I'm not gonna lie to you. Only Dylan knew about it. I had to call M the day before you came home because I was literally freaking out so bad. I was freaking out. I was like, Rachel's gonna hate me. She's never gonna talk to me again. Like, blah, blah. And even Emily was like, bitch, she's literally told you as long as her dogs aren't lost, dead, you're fine. Escaping. And I was like, you don't understand. Like that I had to think that was my worst moment with you.
Zero. See, that wasn't even with me. That was with yourself.
Exactly. So 0. And then when you answered, then when I told you and you were like, oh, no, as we're going through Taco Bell, I was like, you dumb bitch. You just made yourself fucking stress out for 5 days for no fucking reason. Like, I was like, but I was,
she was watching my dogs. I will give a brief synopsis. She was watching my dogs and there was an incident with Blaze and another dog. It wasn't your fault.
Anything crazy either.
It wasn't crazy. It was like a weird thing, but she feels responsible because it was my neighbors. They didn't care. I talked to them. They're fine.
Yeah.
But you told me it and you were like, and I was like,
I had to caution you before too. I had to set you up, like, just know, like, everything's okay. They invited us to like a 4th of July party. Like, I was so nervous.
And I'm so glad I reacted the way I did, which was, okay, so what are we doing about this?
Yeah, and that's when I was like, I'm so glad you said that because for the last 5 days, I've already been like, I have these rules set and I know what we're going to do and we have to do that. Like, I was ready.
No, unless my dogs escape on your watch.
And they're just gone, which I would understand.
Yeah, that is the only thing I would be mad about. They can eat you, eat
people,
eat each other. They can get stitches, fall, hurt themselves, have a heart attack,
shit
eat
happens.
Something they shouldn't. Accidents happen. If they escape, that's the only thing I'm mad about.
Yeah, because if they escape, then something happened to
then something happened.
Dumb.
Then other
unless
people
they busted through your fucking
that's a different
which is
thing.
not going to happen
because then you're putting them at risk. You're putting
right.
It's just like a whole thing. But I am so glad I handled it the way I did. I didn't even think about how your feelings were when you were telling me that.
Because you thought it was no big deal.
Because in my brain, I was like, okay, it sucks that he had a thing with a neighbor's dog, but they're both totally 100% fine. It was just he growled whatever and he nipped at him and it wasn't a big deal. And I was just like, it sucks because I want him to be able to introduce himself to dogs and it not be a thing. And I was just like, okay, so you moving back in?
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Which is something I've been contemplating lately. I feel like at this point there would be no choice because if you think about it, the best time he's got his tongue out.
He's dreaming. Blaze is in the room with us twitching and dreaming.
I love that.
Yeah, you turned Snoop around. Snoop hated new people. He hated new dogs. And now a new person walks in the door and he's like, give me all the love you can give.
Yeah.
And Snoop I got from a shelter and he came with issues that they didn't tell me about because I don't even think they knew. And now he walks up to neighbors' dogs and it's like, what, want to be best friends? He walks up to strangers like,
literally walks up to them face to face. And it's just like, my name's Snoop.
What's up, brah?
I love my life.
And
you see the red truck in the driveway? That's my house.
And now he walks up to strangers. It's like, are you going to give me butt scratches and ear rubs? Or do I have to beg for them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Snoop is ready.
Snoop is a new dog.
To just be a well-balanced, happy-go-lucky dog.
Blaze
wants to be there.
help being introduced to new dogs. He has a very hard time being introduced to new dogs. Once you're in with him. That's what I've always said.
Rightfully so, it's not his fault.
No.
He's had a couple dogs that he thought he could trust that obviously he couldn't.
No.
And you know what? That's definitely something that I know that we have been working through. And even though he had a little bit of a digression or a little bit of a setback, he still shows me every single time I see him that there's so much potential in him.
He's a scared little boy. He's scared of everything. Blaze is scared of everything. That's what we've been trying to fix a lot of is he's scared of the garbage truck. He's scared of the garbage cans themselves.
He's scared of his own farts, as he once told me.
Yes, he's scared of his own farts. He's scared if I make kissing noises, if I make Zerbert noises, which are raspberries. Yeah. He is scared of...
Which I forgot one time.
Yep, and you got your face handed to you.
I gave him a raspberry on his cheek while I was kissing him.
Nope, you cannot give him raspberries.
He took his nose and just... Bop the frick
he
out of my face.
He won't hurt you on purpose, but he will get away.
He just bought me and then he stopped it. He gave me this eyes. He was like, Miss Joy, I don't like that, Miss Joy. I'm so sorry. And then I never did it again. But he was so cute. I got lost in the moment.
So scared of everything. Oh man, we have been talking for over an hour. Just so you know.
Oh my gosh.
Joy and I could talk for hours on end.
Okay, where's your prompts? Let's try to. What?
No, that's it. I didn't even write prompts for you.
So we talked about how we met.
We talked about your favorite moment, your worst moment with me.
Let's talk about your favorite and your worst with me.
Oh. My favorites with you. My favorite moment with you. I'm going to talk about my favorite moment with you. I was in the middle of quarantine and I wanted to buy a bike. Mm-hmm. And I ordered one from Dick's Sporting Goods, and it was picked up at your neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. It was when you were living back at your parents' house because you weren't back with Dylan yet. And so I went to pick it up because they did curbside delivery, and they're like, no, we can't, because it's a bike, you have to come in. And I was quarantining hardcore so I could see my family. I think I don't know why, so I could see my family, because it was when my sister and my family were like super quarantine hard. And I was like, I'm quarantining for 2 weeks. I cannot come into your store. Yeah. Like, my family was like intense about the rules, like at the height of COVID, as they should be. And I was like, I can't come into your store. But I knew you and I weren't seeing each other because I was in quarantine. Mm-hmm. But you were out and about. Yeah. So I called Joy and I was like, hi.
As safely as I could. I still had to work and make money and see clients, but I kept my distance. I kept my mask on, but I was definitely willing to go inside the store
as most humans were.
I wasn't engaging in as many people as her family. You know what I mean?
So you were going into
and with training, it was easy to keep 6-10 feet distance.
You were more safe than most of America. Yeah, like it was whatever. So I was like, can you please go into this store and pick up my bike? Mm-hmm. She's like, got it. You went into the store and I see you fucking ride the goddamn bike out of the store and circle my car. You did not eat it. You drove out of your way. You were late to a party. You did this huge ass favor for me and then fucking made me laugh hysterically as you fucking rode the bike out of the store.
I like basically made you chase me down for it.
You're like, it's
I'm
mine
taking
now.
it with me.
That, I think, was one of my favorite moments.
And you know what made me write it out is that the manager was so rude. And the manager said something like, oh, this is the one with the COVID issue. Or like something like that, right? Because she wouldn't come in. And that pissed me off because they never told you that you had to physically go into that store to watch them put it together. And then after that, tried to make fun of you for being safe for yourself and for your family.
This is my mama bear.
Nobody should ever make fun of you for doing what you feel like you need to do to be safe for yourself and your family. I don't care. It could be as silly-nilly as whoever the hell thinks it is. If you think you're doing what you need to do to be safe for yourself and your family, don't question that. And that lady and that guy questioned it hardcore. And I looked at them and I looked at the sign that said, please don't ride any blah, 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 blah. In our facility, I said, I'm about to ride this bike right the fuck out of this place. And I was so excited. The second he handed me the bike and he was like, okay, sign right here. Did you watch me? It's all done. Blah, blah, blah. I hopped my ass right on that bike seat and I was like, thanks. Took off. And thank God they were like automatic doors that opened because I just had to wait 3.5 seconds. They opened and I went right out.
I love you so much. Mm-hmm. I love you so much.
I love you.
I think we have to.
Nobody's about to sit there and be like, "Hey, he's a COVID."
I think we're gonna end the podcast on that amazing note.
I think so too.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, we're gonna do more.
This is a good one.
We're gonna talk about things.
We have so many things to talk about.
Joy and I. We talk. Mm-hmm. We talk and then we zone out for 30 minutes on the couch and
we reflect. And then we come back together with notes.
I love you guys so much. Thanks for listening. Thank you to our sponsors. If we had any, and you're wonderful, you're beautiful, Joy, I'm obsessed with you. You a soulmate, girl.
Thank you. You're wonderful, you're beautiful, and I'm obsessed with you. Thank you, everybody. Woo!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Rachel Uncensored, the only place on the internet where you can find the uncensored version of me, Rachel Ballinger. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, or follow, or do whatever this platform tells you to do so that you can get notified every time I post a new episode. Love ya!